Johannes' loyalty. Part 1. Once upon a time there was an elderly king lying on his sickbed. He thought to himself, "This illness will be the end of me." So he gave an order.
Call Johannes the loyal to me.
Johannes, who had been loyal and dedicated to the king all his life, was dearly loved by the king, and that was why he was called Johannes the Loyal. When Johannes arrived at the sickbed, the king gave him his final instructions.
Johannes, my most loyal servant, I am nearing the end of my life. There is nothing I am concerned about, except for the young prince, who is still in his childhood and lacks maturity. If you do not promise me that you will guide the prince to grow into a wise person,
Johannes replied,
I promise with all my heart that I will serve the prince, even if I must sacrifice my life for him. I will never abandon him.
The king said,
In that case, I can rest easy and depart for the afterlife.
Then the king gave further instructions.
After my death, you shall show the prince the entire palace, all the rooms, chambers, and treasures inside. However, there is one room you must never show him. It is the room at the end of the long corridor. Inside, there is a portrait of Princess Golden Dwelling. If the prince so much as glances at it, he will fall hopelessly in love and faint, bringing forth great misfortune. Be cautious of this.
After Johannes swore an oath once more, the king remained silent, slowly resting his head on the pillow, and passed away. After the funeral, Johannes finally told the young king what he had promised his father before his death. He said,
I will keep my promise according to my conscience. I will remain loyal and dedicated to you, as I did for your father, even if it costs me my life.
After the mourning period for the late king was over, Johannes spoke to the young king.
Now is the time for you to know what you have inherited. I will show you the entire palace that your father left behind.
Johannes guided the king through the palace, going up and down to show him all the treasures. But there was one room with the captivating portrait that he did not open. The portrait was positioned right in front of the door, so a simple glance would reveal its magnificent image. The portrait was so vibrant and dazzling that one would think no one on earth could be more beautiful.
Why do you not open this room?
I fear what is inside.
But the king said,
I want to see everything in the palace. I must know what is in this room.
The king walked up to the door and tried to open it, but Johannes quickly stopped him and said,
I swore to your father not to open this door. If you understand this, it will be the greatest misfortune for both you and me.
Why not? I will wither away from longing to see what is inside. I will not leave here unless you open the door.
Knowing he could not stop the king, Johannes sighed in sorrow, searching for the key among the bunch. He opened the door, stepped inside, and stood in front of the portrait to block it. But the king stood on tiptoe to look over his shoulder. Upon seeing the portrait of the dazzling young woman adorned with gold and jewels, the king fainted. Johannes quickly lifted him and carried him to the bed, feeling deeply anxious.
Oh no, the misfortune has come. What should I do now?
Johannes tried to revive the king with wine. As the king began to regain consciousness, he immediately asked,
Who is the beautiful woman in the portrait?
That is Princess Golden Dwelling.
The king continued.
I love her so deeply that if all the leaves in the forest turned into tongues, they could never express my love for her. Living with her is the ideal of my life. Johannes, please help me with this.
Johannes thought for a moment, then had an idea and said,
Everything around her is made of gold, from the tables and chairs to the cups and all the household items. In the royal treasury, there are 5 tons of gold. You could take 1 ton and give it to the goldsmiths to make various objects, cups, decorations, and some exotic birds and animals. Once it's done, I'll bring it to her, and I'm sure she will be pleased. You should try it.
The king sent messengers to invite goldsmiths from all over the country to the palace. Once the beautiful golden items were ready, the king had them loaded onto a ship. Johannes disguised himself as a merchant, and the king did the same. Together they sailed across the sea to the city where Princess Golden Dwelling lived. Johannes stepped ashore and told the king to wait on the ship.
Who knows, maybe the princess will come with me to the ship. You should decorate everything in a way that is truly dazzling.
Johannes carried with him many beautiful jewels and continued straight toward the royal palace. Will Johannes be able to carry out his plan successfully? Will Princess Golden Dwelling accept the king? Strange things are waiting ahead.